Hi everybody! So today I want to do a kind of chatty get ready with me, but I'm in some type of mood. And today is the day that I want to spill more tea about MAC. Before I get into it, I'm going to use the subculture palette for this video just because I haven't really used it that much. I've used it a few times and I want to use it today. Just right off the bat, I think I'm going to use Edge, Untamed, Electric, maybe some Axis, maybe some Rowdy, maybe some Cube. We'll see, but I'm just gonna stick with those shades for now. If anything changes, I'll let you know. So my most viewed video is why I quit MAC. And I feel like if you're watching this video, there's a really good chance that you have already seen that video. I feel like the majority of people who found my channel probably found my channel through that video. Since posting that, I have had time to reflect. I have had time to discuss the issue with other people that have worked for MAC, that worked with me, that worked in Minnesota but in other locations. I've also had quite a bit of time to grow as a person, both personally and professionally. I don't remember exactly what points I made, exactly what was said, but I do know that I talked a little bit of shit about the manager and the assistant manager from the counter that I worked at. I don't necessarily take back anything that I said because there was definitely some really shady shit happening with the schedule and the final sales numbers. One person came forward and told me she was an eyewitness to the manager changing people's sales numbers so that hers were higher. That is what someone told me that they saw, but that is what I was told. At the end of the day, a single manager at a single makeup counter has absolutely no control over the way a company is run. And I think I just kind of, it's not that I didn't realize that, it was just that I was really frustrated at the way that everything was handled. And it just felt like an abuse of power when, you know, you have the power to control like what the final numbers look like and you abuse that power in your favor. And when you have the power to schedule everybody and you abuse that power to schedule yourself for the best shifts to make higher sales and you schedule yourself for time in the back where you won't be gold, but then you're out making sales anyway. Like, there was definitely an abuse of power going on, but at the end of the day, the managers, they can only do their jobs. So MAC tells the managers to write artists up if they're not doing whatever MAC thinks needs to be done. So MAC is definitely just like, obviously, mostly in the wrong here. It's just unfortunate that it leaves a lot of room for exploitation and unfairness, you know? I just feel like MAC is such a dying brand. Nobody talks about MAC in an exciting kind of way. Nobody is stoked for their releases. They get anti-hauled all the time. They get roasted all the time. It's not just me. And so I feel like the time to work for the brand has come and gone because at this point they're a sinking ship and I genuinely feel sorry for anyone who is still on the sinking ship. People get hired on thinking it's going to be one thing and it ends up being completely different. And since I left, actually within the last like year or so, I heard that MAC switched everybody over to a commission-based pay model during a pandemic. I got a lot of comments in my first video basically like, well, MAC is a business. They're making decisions that will be best for the business. They exist just to generate revenue and profits. And like, yes, thank you, I understand how businesses work, but it doesn't mean that it's ethical. So what we're not gonna do is defend capitalism, right? Like, I believe that business decisions should be made in the best interest of the workers because the people making business decisions aren't actually working. Like, straight up, they're not actually doing anything. So when they make decisions like moving people over to a commission-based pay model, they're just cutting everyone's pay, basically, which is a pretty fucked up thing to do. Like, if you can't afford to be in business anymore, you need to make different decisions other than cutting the pay of the people that are holding your business up and operating your business, in my opinion. I think it just goes to show that they just don't appreciate their artists. Like, that's just what that means, you know? You can have your own thoughts and feelings, your weird libertarian ideas about how the way business should be run, but what it means is that they don't appreciate their artists when they do things like that. I guess they also cut all of their part-time positions and like most of their supervision positions. That I'm not entirely sure of. I do know they cut like a lot of positions, which that makes sense to me just because like, okay, I need to do makeup. I like forgot what I'm doing here. Why did I do green on the ends? That doesn't make fucking sense. Okay, I'm gonna do axis on the inner corner. We're gonna do a weird halo eye, I guess. But you know, like I said, if you can't afford to be in business, you need to make decisions that either allow you to afford to be in business or you need to just be out of business. And cutting positions, if you can't afford to pay them, makes more sense to me because, you know, those people that are cut, they can collect unemployment, they have time to find another job. But as long as you're still taking care of the people that are there, you know, it is what it is. Personally, I think that CEOs could take a pay cut, you know? High-level corporate positions don't need to be getting paid as much as they are, but you know, this is a whole different conversation. Mac is just a corporation, you know what I mean? Like they're just existing within capitalism, you know? I just think it's, you know, it's telling. So over the last like few years, I have come to remember a few things that happened while I worked for the brand. So this is just gonna kind of be an extension of like why I quit Mac, Storytime, because there were some things that I left out. They might be in the original video, but I don't think so because they're just like little details, you know? You know when little things like unlock a memory, so that has happened a few times, and I'm just gonna share some like fucked up shit that happened to me at Mac. There's a few things that happened to me while I worked for Mac that never really happened to me again and never really happened to me beforehand, which leads me to believe that it just happened because of the way that I was treated at Mac and the way that I was made to feel like disposable, you know, and the way that I was kind of like led to believe certain things, the way that I had things dangled in front of my face. I've had issues with insomnia before. The only time that I've ever had like stress-induced insomnia to the point where I straight up didn't sleep was working for Mac. There would be days where I'd come to work after not sleeping at all, and it wasn't because I was up doing anything, it was because I couldn't fall asleep because of anxiety, specifically revolving around Mac and working for Mac. It's the only time that ever happened to me. You know, I've definitely had anxiety and I've definitely worked at shitty jobs that made me feel really shitty, and I've definitely had times where like I stayed up and couldn't sleep but I slept at least a couple hours. I'm talking about like I could not fall asleep. I did not sleep a wink, and I would go to work the next day because I had to, you know? I am not the only person that experienced this either. There was one other girl that worked at that counter that also experienced this type of insomnia. I mean, I explained a lot of that in the original video, just the way that they made us feel, the way they treated us. Also, the only time that I ever came close to being what would be considered an alcoholic would be at Mac. I just want to preface this story by saying that I am not an alcoholic. Alcoholism is something that exists in my family. I am fortunate enough to not have that issue so far. But the only time that I ever had anything that would, you know, resemble an alcohol issue was when I worked for Mac. Myself and two other artists had this same kind of issue. And again, this is something that only happened at Mac. And this is definitely toward the end of my employment, like the last few months. But the only way that I could really make it through a day of work was if I was tipsy. So it started by just, you know, on our lunch breaks, we would go drink at the bar. We worked at a mall, so there were a couple of restaurants within the mall that had a bar, and so we would just go to the bar. And I would go on my lunch break, I'd have 2 drinks, and then I'd come back to work. That was every day. It started getting a little too expensive, so instead of doing that, what I ended up doing was I bought a bottle of vodka, and I would buy a little to-go lemonade. And I would drink a little bit of lemonade, and then I'd fill it up with vodka. And I would just drink that during my shift. I don't drink anymore. The last time I drank was probably in January. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a drinker, but there was something about working at Mac that drove me to drink. And I think that says a lot about Mac. Like I said, these issues that I'm discussing were not just a me thing. And I think that also says a lot too. Why did working for this company affect so many people's behaviors like this? I don't think it says anything about the artists or the employees. I think it says a lot about the company and how we were being treated. They would also pit us against each other. So this might have just been a thing that my manager did. I don't know if this is a Mac thing. I don't know if they train the managers to do shit like this, but our manager used to pit us against each other. So there were 3 of us that were part-time, with we were all around 20 hours, and then a full-time position opened up that was for 30 hours. And instead of giving it to the person with the most seniority or the person who like wanted it the most, there are a lot of factors that go into making a decision like that for your staff. Since I left Mac, I've been a supervisor, manager, and a district manager. So I understand how things like schedules are made. I understand how things like promotions are decided. And the way that it was done was so fucking weird. It was us 3 girls that were part-time, and this happened like pretty soon after I was hired. My manager actually approached me and asked me if I wanted to be full-time, and I said, yeah. And she said, okay, so it's gonna be between you, her, and her. All 3 of you need to put together a business plan and give me basically a speech and convince me why you should be the one who is full-time. And all 3 of us had to do that. And I knew going into it who would be chosen, because first of all, I am brand new. It definitely should not go to me if 3 of us want it. And out of the other 2, one of the girls had another job outside of Mac. So I knew which one it was gonna go to, because there's one with the most seniority who needs the hours more. Like that, like obviously it went to her, but we still all had to put together this fucking stupid business plan. It was just very strange. And she did that again with Impact Team. She told me that I was invited to go to this like interview for this Impact Team. I was literally scheduled for it and then later told, oh, just kidding. The amount of times that like shit was dangled in our faces and we were told like, this will be yours, and then it was snatched away. I think 3 or 4 times that happened to me. It happened to everybody, to be honest. It happened to all of us. And that's just a really fucking bad way to try to cultivate trust with your staff. It's just really shitty. So this next thing I want to talk about is a recently unlocked memory that I somehow completely forgot about. I was just in a situation where it was a relevant topic and it made me remember what the fuck my manager did to me. Okay, my manager asked me to do like a presentation. So we would have team meetings every month. Usually they included some sort of like demonstration of a new product or a technique. So while I was doing the demonstration, they were recording it. Well, my manager was recording it on her phone. And at the time I thought it was just to send to the trainers because they had to like prove that they were doing something. I don't know. That's what I thought. Nope. They called me into the office, they sat me down, and they wanted me to watch the video so I could see how awkward my body looked. At the time, I was just devastated because you fucking basically cornered me in an office and forced me to watch this video and broke down my body like under a microscope and like explained to me how fucking awkward I am in detail with video. And at the time it was very hurtful. I cried. I had a little bit of a panic attack because I just was not expecting that. And you know, it was a triggering moment, and that is not something that you should do to anybody. After giving that some thought, I've realized that that's not only hurtful, but it's fucked up and should not have happened. It was unprofessional and it was just straight up mean. Like, that was just mean, and I can't believe that that fucking happened. Anyway, I think the eyes are done. I'm gonna do this NYX retractable eyeliner in, it's just called Purple, for the waterline. Okay, and then I'm gonna just do lashes off camera just because I always do. Actually, I'm gonna be doing them on camera, but it's gonna be for a different video. It'll either be the one before this one or the one after, but it's gonna be a video all about false lashes and like how to choose your lashes, how to apply them, what to know about them, all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna do that now and then I will come back when they're on. Okay, so lashes are on and everything is done. I feel like MAC is getting what they deserve. They have taken advantage of their artists for years. They have not appreciated the people that actually work the business. That translates to the products, that translates to the customer experience, And I think people can just kind of tell MAC is done. Nobody hypes up the brand anymore. Nobody cares about the products anymore. They are not even close to what they used to be. And it's because of the attitude of the brand. It has been that way since Estee Lauder purchased the brand, and that is how they're gonna go down. So, you know, it is what it is. Yeah, I have more stories about other jobs. Like, I exposed a job recently that fired me for demanding COVID safety in the workplace. They just fired me instead of making things safe for the employees. So I have more tea to spill about them. Whether or not people want to hear it, I'm still gonna spill it because, you know, I feel like it. Let me know what else you want to see from me. All of my social media will be linked down below. As always, let's be friends. And I just want to say thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.